Awesome, Peter.
Okay,
Yeah, ready when you are, mate. Thanks so much.
excellent. Yeah, so kind of starting off the same as Chris. Peter Djeneralovic. So I'm a software engineering manager at League. New to the healthcare space. Kind of go through my technical path and everything that I've done over the years. But excited to be here. Always kind of done healthcare stuff on the side. As below, I'm a technical advisor to Constant Health as well. They're a player in basically what their app does is allows people to really manage their weight. People who have kind of tried everything, and this is like a full medically supervised weight loss program, all done online. Also, random facts. I farm garlic. I do about 4,000 pounds of it every year. Run on a family farm. You can find that on Instagram at Fruitland Farms as well. And as you can see, avid skier and lover winter sports. That's me at Kicking Horse this past winter. Great resort if you get to get out there. Kind of really when I'm trying to build this presentation for you guys, I kind of found it easier just to kind of go chronologically and really sort of give what I've done over the 8 years that I've been in this industry. It seems like yesterday I just started off as a doing my internships and stuff like that. But kind of want to give sort of what I did and sort of what I would change sort of in the start of my career, sort of going forward. But the main thing, when I started out, I kind of came out of school, didn't really know what industry, didn't really know sort of what area in tech I wanted to work in. Definitely, I did a couple different things in my internships, but still nothing solidified. So kind of did the old spray and pray with the resume, and got my first big job at IBM. And at the start, it was a great place to work, but I'll kind of move into why I'm sort of a little bit more jaded of big tech nowadays than I used to be. But what it was good as a place to start is that there's so many people there and such a big company, and there's so many people where you can learn from to kind of build off of Chris's presentation. There's so many great people that can mentor you, and a lot of my mentors today have come from that initial place where I started at IBM, and now they branched off into other different tech companies around the world. So it was a great place to get started. I worked on a really advanced product. It definitely pushed my technical abilities, which I'm super grateful for. I started there working on a business analytics tool, and there there was a lot of things that I definitely learned that looking back, if I worked on maybe some more simpler products, I wouldn't have had as much exposure to. One of the things that I'm really grateful for is like really early on with a big data product like that, you really get thrown into the deep end with performance and how to manage performance and stuff like that. And I think that's something where you can kind of maybe get around it in different applications, but especially with a big data BI tool, it's something that cripples you if you don't manage head on. So the place where I definitely ran into trouble working at somewhere a little bit bigger, and I think it's maybe a lot of people think IBM's a little bit more old school and stuff like that. By kind of consulting with some of my colleagues and people at other places, it's really hard to innovate process, and that's something for me that I quite enjoy. Is when at a small company you're moving very fast, you're scaling very fast. There's a lot of problems that need to be solved in terms of implementing a process. But when you're at a big established company, a lot of these things are kind of set in stone. And even if they're inefficient, they're hard to move because so many different people rely on them. So that's just something that I definitely learned working there. So kind of around that aspect, sort of my last couple of roles have been at quite a bit smaller companies where I find it's a lot easier for you to show initiative, to be able to implement things that if you notice something that you can improve, it's a lot easier for you to go and to do that. And again, what I think this really builds on is it allows you to have a lot more opportunities to learn and to kind of try different things, fail fast. Whereas kind of in a big tech company, there's a lot of guardrails that people have run into that are put on for you. And even if, again, something that bothers me a lot is if something's inefficient at a bigger company, it's so much harder to get buy-in and to push forward and all these types of things. So this is just kind of like from my experience, what I think I would have done a little bit differently. But kind of wanted to move on, as the question I get most as a manager. This always comes up, when working with my team or other junior engineers at League. We have a great mentorship program. So this is the question that comes up, all the time. And that's basically the management or the technical path. So I wanted to basically spend a little bit of time, some of the differences, and actually some of the similarities between these two roles, and kind of how you can make the decision for yourself whether to go, one way or another. And kind of with both of them, I find there's always a bit of being able to get buy-in in a project, but it's just in slightly different ways. So kind of, if you're deciding between these two things, I hope kind of what I explained here a little bit allows you to make that decision for yourself. I think one of the great things, especially in recent years, is that the push for both of these paths, there's a career ladder all the way up to the same level. You don't feel that you have to really advance your career by going into management. That's kind of I think a myth. There's some really, really talented engineering problems that need dedicated time to solve. So I think that's just, something that's great that's happened in the industry probably over the last 15 years, is that there's a full technical path and a full managerial path. And it's really up to you to define what's important to you, or what you like to solve, or, where you want to spend your energy between the two different paths. So kind of with management, one of the main things is managing projects and expectations. And what I mean by this is kind of what you're going to deliver and when. So a feature comes in, it's your kind of job to basically kind of break this big problem up that's come to you into, manageable bite-sized pieces, and kind of develop a plan of how you're going to deliver this over a certain amount of time. And then the next thing, which I find the most fun in, and which is really the reason that I got into management, it's really about building teams and about building, a great group of people that can really do a lot. So this comes down to hiring, interviewing, all that kind of stuff. Being able to see what gaps you have in your team, where you need to fill a role, all these kinds of things. This is kind of, a big part of being on the managerial track, is kind of putting the correct people in the right places to be able to succeed. And that's where I have the most fun, being a manager myself. And then the next part, which is kind of the icing on the cake afterward, is being able to grow people's careers. And again, putting them and setting them up for success, not only, by giving them tasks that they enjoy and all that kind of stuff, but really figuring out, again, the answer to kind of this question, which is what I get the most, is kind of, as I progress in my career, do I want to go on the management or the technical path? So, and again, this is all for me the most fun part of this. It's always the best for me, honestly, just promoting people within my team and seeing them lead other teams. That's where I kind of feel the most satisfaction. uh, uh, doing anything that I've done in my career so far. I don't think completing any project or uh, completing any feature that I've shipped as compared to giving somebody or growing somebody into a management position and now they're leading their own team. I think that's just like the best thing. Um, the other thing is like managing team dependencies. So kind of when you're building a big feature, managing the timing between certain integrations coming together and that kind of stuff. You're involved in that, and then defining the roadmap. Kind of coming up with contingency plans. That's kind of the risk mitigation side of things, and then timeline estimation and delivery. So that's kind of honestly, this is kind of I just laid out my day to day activities as a manager, and that's kind of what I do day to day. So that kind of sounds like you, or something that you want to kind of pursue. Um, you know, kind of that's kind of where you should sort of move in that direction. And then now on the opposite side, we have sort of like the technical path, and this really is mostly about figuring out the correct or most correct engineering solution. Again, this is you're going to be doing mentoring, kind of the same way as a manager does, but more on the technical side, code reviews, all that kind of stuff. You're defining the technical strategy for the team, so the best way for components to be built and put together. Um, Managing the technical dependencies between teams, so making sure teams are building the right thing and that things will actually come together at the right time, ensuring the engineering excellence of the team. So this is all things like ensuring testing and code reviews and best practices are being followed. You're staying on top of the latest tech trends, and you're managing the tech debt within the team. But there's 2 points that I've kind of put in that are very much similar, and I think this is kind of the one thing that I always tell either way you're going to go is there's a skill of getting buy-in, whether that's project buy-in or technical buy-in. So either track you go, either way. Basically, the skill of presenting your ideas in a way where people are really excited about either the project or the technical solution that you're proposing. Both of those things are super important, and it'll serve you either way that you go. So this is putting together an effective presentation, putting together a technical document, presenting it to stakeholders, getting stakeholder buy-in, and then being able to push the project forward. These are all things that I've used when I was a senior engineer, and then when I moved into the management track. It's really the same set of skills. It's just in a slightly different context of the project or technical buy-in. So yeah, so with that being said, I hope that kind of clears up that question that I get a lot from my junior engineers. And then yeah, I just wanted to give some bits of advice in terms of some things that I've been told over the years that have definitely helped me grow my career, and helped me push forward. And sort of one of the things that I definitely stand by today, and kind of has always served me well is really never be afraid of change and taking a certain risk or jumping into a difficult technical area or something that's out of your comfort zone. The one thing is, worst comes to worst, you'll learn something new, and that will always serve you, going in your technical or managerial career. And then the other thing it does, though, too, is when you jump into something that's new or different or unknown, is it keeps you on your toes, and it stops you from becoming complacent in an area that you've managed for a long time, that you've been technically leading for a long time. When you jump into something new, I don't know what it is, but something is triggered inside of you that you're kind of on a high alert, and you're kind of looking to come up with the best solution possible. If you've been in a role for, I would say, 3 or more years. This doesn't have to be a change of company, but or even a change of role, like in terms of like a manager or a technical path. But jump into a different area. See if you can jump into a different area of the company, where you're looking after a different part of the product, or again, or if you feel like a change in company is for you, you can kind of do that as well. But I feel, always never be afraid to go in and jump and dive into something new. Uh, either way that you're going, it'll always end up, uh, either, again, worst comes to worst, you'll learn something great, or you'll really be able to excel in that area that maybe you didn't think before. So yeah, with that, I just wanted to, end off. It's been great speaking with you this afternoon, and then just leave the floor open for questions.
Yeah, awesome, Peter, man. Some really great content there. Thanks for sharing your career kind of story to date. One question I kind of wanted to kind of throw to your end. What would you say is one of the most important lessons that you've kind of learnt yourself as kind of a manager, as managing people? What would you say is one of the overall kind of ideas or concepts or kind of lessons that you've kind of learned in being a leader? I know people talk about that kind of servant leadership and kind of putting not your success is now not the priority. You got a team of 10, you want to get them being the superstar. So what kind of if you have a kind of a philosophy or a lesson there, or a kind of a go-to kind of strategy that you can kind of share with us tonight?
Oh yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from a manager. Again, started at IBM, but has now had a few couple roles after that. But when I was kind of first starting to be a senior engineer and move into the managerial space, he basically said, as a manager, I don't have to be right. I just have to make sure, um, you're not wrong. And what that comes down to is he really put it in a really eloquent way, which I probably won't be able to exactly replicate. But basically, what that means is I don't have to know everything. I just have to ask enough questions to make sure that you've thought through your solution enough that I feel you've covered your bases. And that kind of really goes back to that whole concept of when you transition from engineering to management. Is you've basically how it kind of sets us up to fail a little bit as engineering managers, is basically what you've worked so hard, and you've developed this rapport of being able to deliver really good technical solutions. So that's what your kind of claim to fame is. But when you really move into management, you really have to shed all of that. That has nothing to do with what's now your path forward is. It's a completely different shift, and it does take time. It takes time to say, that's not what I'm known for now. What I'm really known for now is building great teams, building culture, making sure that everybody's on a good path in their career. They're working on things that they enjoy. We're managing these projects properly, the timelines and all that kind of stuff. It really changes. You use that technical knowledge that you've built in the past in those aspects, but you're not known for building really good technical solutions anymore. And you really have to kind of shed that behind you and really move forward, because otherwise you're really doing two jobs at once. You're still trying to be a developer and a manager, and that's just not sustainable. Uh, and you'll burn out really fast.
It's like that
But
the
yeah,
article you shared is kind of that the manager death spiral. You're trying to do too much, you need to be able to delegate. I thought it was really interesting. You were talking about one of the most satisfying things in your career not being shipping product or features. It was actually coaching someone who's then moved on to manage their own team. And you're like, it's kind of like I can imagine a child growing up, or maybe a flower blooming. It's like, I did that. high five myself, go me. So, yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, very interesting one there. I love that. I don't have to be right. I just have to make sure that you're not wrong. So, yeah, sounds like a t-shirt or something like that, but so true. I mean, that's it's like you don't have to agree with me. I just have to make sure that you're kind of succeeding and on the right track. So,
Yeah, and I think it just speaks to that whole thing of you shedding your technical sort of like when you get a feature, you're making sure that everything's technically proper and you can deliver it in this time, and you're doing all this stuff. Well, now it's that engineer's job to do what you did in that position, and it's really your job to kind of coach them and use your knowledge that you've gained being in that position to make sure that they're kind of you're mitigating the mistakes that maybe you made once you were in that position. So it's really not about
Mhm.
you developing the solution and then just giving it to an engineer. It's really just kind of using your experience to then help the engineer come to their own solution, because that's how they're going to grow and how they're going to become better. If you just did all their work and give it to them, then that's not your role.
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, it's a great lesson there. Kind of encourage people to, give them the tools to succeed as opposed to just kind of, chiseling it out themselves. So, yeah, Peter, again, thanks so much for your presentation. And same deal as Chris. You want to plug any hiring that's going on at League at the minute?
Yeah, unlike some of the industry at the moment where everything's freezing, we're not. So there's lots of roles. Again, league.com. Go to the careers page. There's everything in engineering, product management, design. If there's any designers in this forum, but yeah, we have everything going on right now. Lots of work to do. Yeah. Again, reach out on LinkedIn. It's my name. My last name is pretty unique, and so there's not really that many, different of me. So if you just search Peter Djeneralovic, you'll be able to find me real quickly.